Good morning, my random viewers, and welcome to Randomly Offensive. Today we will be talking about the Hypezone, not to be confused with the online community Hypezone, but instead a terminology that I had to come up with in order to understand a curriculum I learned back in college due to my brain working almost as slow as Joe Biden's. Breaking all this knowledge and certain knowledge down into a zone allowed me to understand how production companies can create a movie and a TV show that will cause the entire world to have to see it, and will also cause multiple people to want to return to theaters a second, third, and fourth time. When the Hypezone is successfully achieved, this is what creates a reward so significant and a profit so significant that every other creator will be in envy and in amazement, and the reputation that you will have will be a reputation that every creator strives to receive. However, if done unsuccessfully, that's how you open up another zone. This zone is called the anti-hype zone, and the ramifications of getting into this zone are severe and could ruin not only a career, but absolutely will ruin your movie franchise. So in order to successfully enter the hype zone, it will derive from 6 key factors. The first factor is passion. The second factor is, of course, timing, because that is incredibly important. The third factor is obviously marketing. However, the fourth factor is sound. Sound is more important than anyone might actually think. The fifth factor is character arc development, and the sixth factor is the climax, oh my. Now, when a movie has entered the hype zone, profit will always follow. Look at Endgame, No Way Home, Star Wars Episode 7, Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows Part 2, and Game of Thrones Season 8 as extreme examples. Some of these have entered the anti-hype zone. The reason why is because after seeing the profit of the Hype Zone, production companies then try to force it. This is a big no. The Hype Zone must not be a goal, but a surprise and a reward. So how does a movie enter the Hype Zone, and what exactly does all of it entail in order to successfully achieve it if it's not supposed to be a goal? Well, the answers lie within the 6 key factors. Number 1, passion. When a creator has passion, it shows and will trickle down into the other key factors. It'll trickle down into every aspect of the movie. Now, this sounds incredibly simple, but it's not. For example, if a producer who is passionate about the mystery genre, he might notice that the fantasy genre is making other creators millions of dollars, so he decides to make a fantasy film. This film will be mediocre, decent at best, because it's being made for the wrong reason. Now, I'm not saying that doing something for money is a bad thing, because it's not. And if that's your goal, then absolutely go for it. But creating, however, passion must come first. It's a completely different style and type of career, which is why it is so scary and is such a hard career choice. But when you create from the heart, the world will reward you with people's interest, and that interest then turns into appreciation. And when people appreciate your work, they're willing to pay for more, and they're willing to pay you to have a nice home and food, to be healthy enough to keep providing them what they enjoy and what gives them passion in return. So, I would love to use an example, but instead of using a big-time movie for an example, I would like to really drive my point home and use something a little bit smaller. A fellow YouTuber of mine, Fire Vinyasa, is a perfect example of passion first, money second. And the reason why I say that is because Fire Vinyasa is a yoga instructive company. It teaches you yoga. It teaches you Fire Vinyasa, which is a style of yoga created by the host. Now, she does not do this to make money. She does not do this because it's what's trending right now. She does this because she struggled with weight loss. She struggled with depression. She struggled with low confidence, which I also struggle with, and that's actually why I'm doing YouTube, because I struggle with being angry all the time, and sad, and angry, and then sad. And she found a way to solve all of it. And she found it in yoga. And instead of just keeping it to herself or trying to market it for a multi-billion-dollar company, she decided to teach it to people. Now, of course, she expects to get paid in the future, but for now, she's just teaching it for the sake of teaching it, because she believes other people deserve this secret. And it's something she enjoys doing, and that's why she does it, is because she enjoys it. And that is, too, why I started doing YouTube. Now, when I first started doing it, I lost sight of it. But she really did encourage me and make me understand that it's not about the views, it's not about the subscribers, it is about doing what you love and just expecting that people will love it just as much as you. And that is the soul of creating. That is why you create in the first place. And that is the first most important step to get to the hype zone. Number 2, timing. Timing is everything for a movie to go into the hype zone. When creating hype, you must make sure you can deliver the project soon enough so that the hype doesn't wear off and enter the anti-hype zone. Very bad zone. Never want to be there, okay? But too soon and the hype will not grow enough to create the hype zone. Number 3 is marketing. Do not market the film as something to be hyped for. The audience doesn't want to be told to be excited for something. It must happen naturally. Don't try to make it seem important. That is for the audience to decide. And never, ever, ever alienate potential audience / fans. Now, movies do this all the frickin' time, right? But you don't want to alienate anybody, okay? It does not have to include everybody. It doesn't have to be meant for anybody, but it should never be against anybody. And it should be able to be enjoyed by everybody. If someone doesn't enjoy the type of movies you're making, that's okay. That's not the fan base you want anyway, and you move on. But the people that do enjoy the genre of the film you're making, they're gonna get hyped for it, and it will create the hype zone. And it might actually cause people that were never once interested in that genre to become interested based off of the hype zone. It's such a cool name. I like it. It's a cool name. Fun to say too. Hypezone. Number 4 is sound. Now, sound will have to have its own video in the future because it is incredibly important to creative hype, and it is so hard to cover. There's so much to it. It took me forever to figure it out. And yeah, but I am stoked about it. I love sound. Understanding sound is honestly amazing. So, allow me to show you an example. Imagine an action hero. We'll call him, let's call him Jeff. So, we now have Jeff. And now a man approaches him. Now, no biggie, right? A man's approaching him. Big deal, right? But now, let's change that. Let's now have a man approach him, and his footsteps sound heavy. He's more of a threat in our eyes now. Believe it or not, that's all it takes to establish a scary, threatful character. He then pulls out a knife. Now, again, no biggie, but let's redo that. He then pulls out a knife, and the sound of the blade is muffled, with the heartbeat of the hero slowing down in pace. This subconsciously signals that our hearts should beat at the same rate, causing us to become emotionally invested now, even if we don't know that we are. He stabs our hero, but his scream is mute. You cannot hear the scream. You only see his mouth and his neck making the tense features to resemble a scream. The music is muffled. This causes us to think things are not okay, and subconsciously, we actually match the volume to the movie with the volume of our emotions. So we stay quiet and we keep our emotions in. This creates suspense, and when released, it starts to create hype. And now the music slowly becomes unmuffled. Jeff's scream is no longer silent and begins to get louder and louder and louder. Subconsciously, we match this and let our emotions out louder and louder and louder. And they are now far stronger than they normally would be if we just watched this play out with no sound. Due to the sound, our emotions are releasing in a way that is creating hype. The hero begins to fight back, throwing punch after punch after punch after punch after punch, landing every single punch, and with every single strike that he connects to the bad guy, the punches get louder and louder and louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And what this creates is for us realizing that with every punch, he's becoming stronger and he's getting closer and closer and closer to a victory. Now, the hype is growing naturally with the scene, but we have yet to hit the hype zone. Now, the villain in this case manages to create distance between them, and he seems slightly unfazed. The heroes are breathing at the exact same pace, their hearts beating at the exact same rate, and the music is at a steady volume and a steady motion of beat. This now signals to us that the heroes, or well, the characters on the screen are perfectly equal, and we're not actually sure if the hero is going to survive this now, and we have entered the hype zone. Now, to push this point just a little further, I'm going to stop talking about it, and I'm going to finish the story at the end of the video. Hype zone entered. No, it's too much praise for me, but you get the point. Number 5, character arc development. Character arc development. I am going to touch on this in a 6-part video series because, God, that's a huge project. It's huge. You cannot just cover character arc development in a 15-minute video that covers a bunch of other stuff because it is just impossible. So, with that being said, I'm going to paraphrase real quick. Don't make your character shit. Give your audience a reason to give a shit about your character. And within giving a shit, you will, have a good character arc development. And that could create character hype. But again, I'm going to save this for another video. So, yeah. Let's continue to number 6. Number 6 is Climax. Oh my. So, as an example for how to have a climax set up a hype zone, I'm going to use Infinity War, Far From Home, and those are the only two I'm going to use because they're good examples. So, Infinity War, we got hyped for the movie, and a lot of people went and saw it, and it was an awesome movie, and then the bad guys lost. Thanos did the snappity snap, the Michael Jackson, woohoo, and everyone just dusted and died, and now they're gone, and that they're gonna come back. And we had to wait an entire year to see the finale of that snap. And good character arc development, good storytelling, and all that, passion, of course, played a huge role, but the climax, we wanted to see how that ended. And so, hype began to build. Now, this is where timing becomes a very important factor, because if they would have waited 2 or 3 years, it would not have had a good hype. It would have died down and fewer people would have seen it. But when it finally came out, so many people wanted to see it. Even the ones who did not go to the theater to see Infinity War had that hype zone. And you've entered the hype zone with Endgame. It's a perfect example because there were so many flaws with Endgame. It wasn't as good as Infinity War, but no one freaking cared because the hype was so freaking high that you're in the zone and you wanted to watch it. Okay, so now with Far From Home. With Far From Home, same thing. A decent story, whatever. My least favorite movie. However, the ending created so much frickin' hype, and then the marketing created so much frickin' hype as well, but we're talking about Climax. So, he has just been accused of murder, and everyone knows who he is. Boom, and we didn't get a frickin' trailer until 2 months before the movie was about to be released, and the trailer told us nothing, and they dropped the trailer right as the hype was starting to drop, because they got, delayed in movies. So, hype starting to drop, trailer, bring the hype back, and when the movie came out, there were so many freaking rumors that, it entered the hype zone so beautifully, and it delivered. It did not enter the anti-hype zone. Now, what is the anti-hype zone? Well, let's go back to the scenario I played with sound, right? Actually, hold on real quick. Before I go back to the little scenario that we made up here, there's one more important thing I want to say about Climax. Now, the Climax does not have to be a cliffhanger every single time, right? It does not have to be. Now, cliffhangers do create hype zone more effectively than other movies, but another way to enter the hype zone with a sequel is just making it a really, really good movie. Now, that is easier said than done, right? So, yes, cliffhangers help, but it is not the only way. Nostalgia plays a huge part in it. Another part that you could use is, say a character has been dead for 2 movies. Say this is a trilogy, and a favorite character has been dead for the last 2 movies, and everyone loved him in the first one. Well, if he, makes a small appearance at the end of the movie, but the movie's ending, there's no cliffhanger, he just kind of, pops up, shows up, boop, here I am. That can create hype for a sequel that is all about him. And so you don't have to do cliffhangers. You can also do just little sudden nods, but it is impossible just to make just a good movie and create the hype zone with a sequel. You do have to, if not having a cliffhanger, you do have to have something there that people want to grasp onto and theorize about and see if the theories are right. And they just want to see what happens. So that is how you create the hype zone using your Climax. So, again, one more time, let's go back to Jeff fighting the guy that we have not named yet because I'm lazy as hell. So, with that being said, here's how that fight ends. A meteor falls and they all die. Boom, bada bing, done. Very anticlimactic. Now that is the anti-hype zone. I really want to talk about the anti-hype zone. However, that will take a very long time to talk about, so I'm going to have to save it for another video. Because even though it derives from the hype zone, it's actually more complicated. So, yeah, lots of details there, but I love this stuff. I love media science. I love media politics. That's why I made the channel, and I finally am good enough and have decent enough equipment to do it well. So, expect a lot more of these, and yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please do consider liking, subscribing, maybe even sharing. That'll help me out a lot. I'm a small channel. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. Take care of yourselves. Don't get hit by a meteor, and bye.